Hey guys, we're back in the kitchen today and we've got some great cozy comfort food that we're going to make for you this month. Our first recipe is pumpkin stuffed shells, and right now we are preparing our shells. We're going to boil them and have them nice and al dente, which means that little hard line in the center where they're not fully cooked, because they're going to go into the casserole and bake. So what you're going to want to do is have 12 jumbo pasta shells, dry pasta shells, or a bag of shells that are jumbo, but they're about this big. We'll show you what they look like when they come out and are perfectly al dente. So we're also going to wilt our spinach. What we're going to do right now is we are going to make our filling, and the last ingredient that goes in our filling is our spinach leaves. And what I've done, it calls for 5-ounce bag of baby spinach. I have that right here ready to go, and we're going to utilize our pasta pan and our water to wilt that spinach before we add it to our filling. So the first thing we're going to take is a cup of ricotta cheese. I'm going to bring my bowl over here, and we are going to add a whole cup of ricotta to our bowl. I'm going to kind of press it down so that I can mix it well. And the next thing we're going to use is a 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. And it's not the pie filling mix. You want to make sure you get the pure pumpkin. And so we're going to dump that whole can in. And that's just going to be wonderful with that ricotta cheese and the other things that we're going to put in to season it, so it has that nice fall comfort food smell and taste. Go down and get all of that out. And this is a great way to use some of your leftovers from Thanksgiving and feed everybody that's still visiting with you in your home. Okay, so the next thing we're going to add is a teaspoon of chili powder and 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And I have that already pre-measured right here. So I'm going to add that to my filling mix. And then we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of finely chopped sage. And I just pulled some from my garden. I keep it growing. I don't know if you remember the previous video where I said this can keep mosquitoes away if you lay it on your fire to smolder or your grill. If you do not have fresh sage, you can always use a little bit of ground sage. You just might want to adjust, because when it's ground, it has a little bit more of an intense flavor. So I would use less than 1.5 tablespoons if you use the ground. So here's my rough, fine chopped sage. I'm going to add that to my filling, as well as I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt and some fresh ground pepper. And I've got that already pre-measured right here. I'm going to pour it into the filling. And we're going to put 1 egg. One egg, and then I'm going to also add a cup of mozzarella cheese. And what I've done, because a lot of times that mozzarella produces that really stringy texture as you're eating them, I use an Italian blend, which also has mozzarella Romano, Asiago. So I'm going to add that to my filling. And then I'm just going to mix it up. And like I said, the very last thing we're going to add is our spinach greens, and we're going to film exactly how we wilt those spinach greens to add to our filling. Okay, we are ready. Our pasta is nice and soft, but still a little bit firm. Again, that al dente consistency. And we are going to go over and drain our water off. And I'm going to leave my burner on, because I'm going to take the pasta out, and then I'm going to show you how to wilt the spinach. Now the recipe calls for taking the water and pouring it over the spinach. And then you have to squeeze the spinach to remove the water and rough chop it. And I do not like to do that because that adds added water to my pasta filling. And I don't like the watery texture. So I'm gonna wilt it in the pan, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. Okay, we've got our shells. I'm gonna dump them. I've drained all the water off. I'm gonna dump them in a bowl for saving for when we get ready to fill them. Every last one out of there. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my 5 ounces of baby spinach. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. And there's still some moisture in there from the pasta water. Kind of move that around a little. And I'm gonna return my pan to the burner. Put the lid on, return it, and this is gonna take a little while to wilt. I'm gonna take my spoon and just kind of stir it around, add the lid back, turn up my heat a little bit, and it's just gonna be a few minutes before that's ready for us. Okay, we are ready to take our spinach out. I've wilted it. I'm gonna remove the lid. I'm gonna be careful while I do this so that I don't get burned. You should do this carefully. I'm gonna remove it. And as I take it out, you can see that it looks wilted and it's a little moist, but you don't have that need to squeeze the water out of it, which I think when you squeeze the water out of it, you're just removing all the vitamins from that spinach. So there's no way that I would squeeze out the nutrients in my spinach greens. I'm gonna set this pan aside so that you'll be able to see me chop. I've turned my burner off for safety. I'm gonna put my spoon here. I'm gonna grab my good knife again. And they're hot, but you can definitely go ahead and chop them. And just that up and down motion with the knife. Keep scooting them toward the middle, and again using the up and down motion with your knife. And this takes a little bit because we've got a good bit of spinach there, and we want it chopped so that it spreads out throughout our filling. And these are going to be so full of great nutrients. Greens are so good for you. Excellent source of iron and calcium. Okay, I think we've got a nice chop where we can add it. So I'm gonna move my spoon. I'm gonna push them down into my filling. You can see how they're nice and chopped. Get every last little bit. And this filling is just beautiful. It has the nicest fall colors. I'm gonna kind of let you see it before I mix it up. And now's the time where we are going to get our shells. That warm spinach going down in that ricotta and pumpkin puree is the most divine smell. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of my pasta, and what I've done is I've taken a casserole dish and I've pre-sprayed it with olive oil spray so that we don't have any sticking. And the recipe calls for a 28 ounce jar of, well, they actually say to use homemade pasta sauce. But you know me, I like the easy way where it tastes homemade, but you've done some things to help you speed up your process. And if you have the time, you can make your homemade pasta sauce. I kind of like this. So I'm going to layer a little bit on the bottom of my pan, which keeps those pasta shells from sticking. Move it around. Add a little more. And what you end up with is this little sea of pasta sauce that you're going to place your pasta shells on. I'm going to take a small spoon, and you can see the size of my shells. They are not the jumbo, but they're bigger. They're good size. So I'm going to begin filling those shells, and since they're smaller, I'm going to pack them pretty full. So it looks like this, and then lay them down on that pasta sauce. And I'm just going to keep going until my casserole dish is full, and then we'll be back in a minute to show you how to put Parmesan on top and know how to bake these. Okay, we filled all of our shells with our filling, and the sauce is on the bottom. And again, you're going to add just a small amount of sauce to the top. You don't want to smother them. You want to leave a little bit of that pumpkin filling showing. I'm going to jiggle it a little bit. And then you're going to layer it with Parmesan cheese on top. You can also cut some of your sage for the top, or if you're not using fresh sage and you use ground sage, you can take parsley and sprinkle it on top for a little bit more color. So you end up with a dish like this. I'm going to cover it and put it in for 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and then we're going to enjoy some comfort food. Thank you.